dated my teacher, and it was the most beautiful relationship I've ever had. But at the same time, I can hardly talk to anyone about it. I was in my last year of high school and had been searching for a meaningful relationship for a long time. I truly believe that movies, TV shows, and other media portraying teenage romances can be misleading and even harmful. I had problems trying to date a girl who, looking back, never really appreciated what I did for her. I tried everything to make her happy, but I was never enough. No matter how much effort I put in, she would even tell me how she was interested in another guy. Despite having many female friends, I kept looking for that special connection with someone. After the Christmas break, I noticed a new girl at school who wasn't wearing a uniform. I thought maybe she was new and hadn't bought it yet. But then I was shocked to realize that this girl, who looked my age, I was 18 at the time, was actually my teacher. Of course, she wasn't 18. She was 28. She was 28. I have to admit, she seemed quite inexperienced. She introduced herself and started teaching multiple classes, while many students found her lessons boring or had negative things to say about her. I couldn't help but watch her, completely ignoring what others thought. I always got along well with teachers. I tend to connect better with adults than with people my age. I like joking around with them and greeting them. And while I had my favorites, I enjoyed their company in general. She was very friendly and even started joking with me. One day, she mentioned that she liked walking around the city, which immediately caught my attention because walking around the city is my favorite hobby. I started thinking about inviting her for a walk, but I hesitated. Finally, during a 2-week vacation, I saw my chance and approached her. "Miss, you mentioned that you like walking around the city. Would you like to go for a walk sometime?" To my surprise, she said yes. That day, I was incredibly happy. I started doubting, thinking maybe she had just agreed to be polite. But then she found me on Instagram and confirmed our plan. I'll try to keep this part short. In the end, she accepted. We went out, talked, joked around, and everything went great. I asked her if we could go out again, but since school was starting soon, it would take some time. However, she started allowing me to walk her to her metro station, day after day. I walked her there until, a few weeks later, I asked if she wanted to go for a walk on a Friday, and she agreed. That was the moment everything changed. The day was as fun and relaxed as always. We exchanged some playful, slightly bold jokes. Then we went for pizza, and she asked me to sit next to her. I was nervous, but I thought she just wanted to talk. While waiting for the pizza, between playful touches and laughter, we shared our first kiss. As we left, we both wondered how we would handle this situation. We both felt like we wanted to see where it would go. From that day on, I wasn't just walking her to the metro station anymore. Now she stayed with me a little longer. We talked, hugged, kissed, and eventually, things became more intimate. As you can imagine, we couldn't tell anyone about this. In class, we were nothing more than student and teacher. I kept joking with her. And sometimes, I even wrote her little notes in my notebook. But we were always extremely careful. She was everything I had been searching for. I loved everything about her, her sense of humor, the way she was sometimes playful, sometimes bold, sometimes affectionate. At the same time, she could be distant and cold, but I tried to understand because I knew our relationship couldn't last forever. I had always known. I knew that if she ever decided to end things, I would have to accept it, whether because of the age difference or simply because she was my teacher. Still, I enjoyed every moment with her. To me, she was beautiful. She didn't like me saying that, but what captivated me the most were her eyes. She wore glasses. But her gaze, her shy little smile, her voice, everything about her fascinated me. That was how things were until high school finally ended. It might seem like we would have more freedom after that. But at the same time, she became busier. She stopped texting me as much, started declining more plans. On one of our last outings, I noticed she was more distant. We talked about it. She admitted she could be cold and said she should try to be more affectionate. But I told her she didn't have to change. There was nothing wrong with who she was. We both knew we didn't have much time left together. We cried a little, and it was a beautiful moment. That night, we walked in the rain. I bought her a pastry. We jumped over puddles and got a little lost in the city. Eventually, her birthday was approaching, and I wanted to get her something special. I searched for the perfect gift, bought it, and prepared a small bag with a few thoughtful details. That day was chaotic, and I ended up arriving late. She joked that she had already left, but she was just messing with me. We had a nice afternoon together. She showed me a few places, and I tried to give her an early birthday celebration. Everything seemed perfect, or so I thought. I texted her that night, but she didn't reply. At first, I didn't think much of it. But then 2 weeks passed, then 3, then a month, then a month and a half. I sent her a message saying that if she no longer wanted to talk to me, she just had to tell me. But she never did. I was worried. I was sad, but I couldn't talk to anyone about it. I kept wondering, what if something happened to Rddtxp? The most beautiful relationship I had ever had, with the most special person I had ever met, and I never even got to say goodbye. I had to move on in silence. Only a few people knew about this, and even they found it hard to believe. I don't blame them. It's still unbelievable to me too. I'm writing this today because just recently she finally responded to my message. She told me she was okay, that she had been very busy and thinking a lot about how to reply, but that it was best for everything to end. She thanked me, and that was her goodbye. I had already said my own goodbye earlier. On Christmas, I sent her a message telling her I didn't like how things had ended, and that, even if she never read it, I just wanted to say farewell. So when I read her message yesterday, all I felt was happiness knowing she was okay. A small part of my heart wished she would magically ask me to go out again. But I know the best thing to do is cherish what we had, learn from it, and move forward. So the only thing I replied was, "Thank you." That's all I needed.